Alright, I'm going to make a quick little video here. Not about quick, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to say here, but I'm just going to start talking and see if my experience buying revolvers and owning revolvers can help you out. This video is kind of meant for somebody that doesn't own a revolver and has never bought one. Things to look out for and just what I recommend. Just from buying them and owning them and selling them. Yeah, this is either for somebody that's never bought a gun. I'm kind of sick, by the way. I make a lot of videos when I'm sick. So you guys watch my videos and you're like, man, this guy's always sick. But you know, I'm sitting around the house, so that's when I have time. I've only been sick maybe once a year, you know, if I sound a little weird, but so yeah, this is for people that maybe have never bought a gun ever in their life, or maybe they own a semi-auto but they've never bought a revolver, or you know, maybe they own a revolver and they're just gonna watch a video. So first of all, if you're gonna buy a revolver and you've never bought one before, and you're planning on keeping it, if you're just going to maybe buy one gun, say you've never bought a gun, you've never bought any gun, there's a few things that factor in on what you're going to use the gun for. If you're just going to buy one gun and you're going to carry it and you're going to use it for home protection as well, you know, you want to go with something that's stainless steel and aluminum, or all stainless. You don't want to go with just a normal blued gun because of rust, depending on where you live. So you're going to have to, you know, take what I'm talking about and adapt it to your life and your situation where you live. Where I live, it's very hot and humid in the summer, and then it's very cold in the winter. And I have different guns too, so I also walk a lot, which means I'm carrying weight. And like I'll walk 3 miles to go eat, 2 miles to go eat. Most people don't do that type of stuff. So a really lightweight gun can really benefit you in that. But that's something you have to factor in. But first, let me get this right off the bat. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, don't buy a Taurus. A Taurus is a maker of a gun. Don't buy a Taurus. Another maker of revolvers not to buy is Charter Arms. Do not buy a Charter Arms. Okay. Ruger revolvers, they're good. Do I recommend buying one for your first gun? Or I don't. I don't recommend buying a Ruger. There's nothing wrong with them. They work fine. They're reliable. And that's one brand that you could consider. But if you have not bought a gun, you're new to revolvers, don't buy a Ruger. Buy an old Smith. What I recommend is an older Smith & Wesson or an older Colt. If you're buying a used gun, just because it's a much better gun, it's a higher quality gun, and it will retain its value. And you know, going in and buying a brand new, you know, say a Smith & Wesson 686 with like a 3-inch barrel or a 2-inch barrel or a 4-inch barrel, whatever it is, and you know, as soon as you walk out the door, you're losing hundreds of dollars, and the quality of the gun is not as good as old. This is an old Smith & Wesson, 1949, and the things that make it better, I mean, all the parts are real steel, case hardened, hammer and trigger, you know, pin barrels, and everything about the gun, the action. These guns have all been, both these guns have been safety checked, by the way. But the action, the quality of the gun, it's just a much better gun. If you buy an old Model 10, this is a pre-model, but say you buy find an old Model 10 38 Special with a 4-inch barrel. Those are real common. You see them everywhere. Model 10, 4-inch barrel. You see those in gun stores a lot, and they're really nice guns. they're not expensive. You know, $300-400. That's less than you're going to pay for something like this. Which the parts inside. This is a new Smith & Wesson. This is brand new, and yeah, I own a new Smith. The reason I do is this is like a beater gun. It's so I sweat all over it, and I don't care about it. Do I trust the new Smith & Wessons to fire every time? I do. The action on them is still, you know, it's tight, and you know the design is still the same. You know, so there's nothing wrong with it. I trust my life to this, but I recommend buying an older gun over something like this. There's the same gun you could get in all stainless steel, and this is an airweight. It's aluminum frame. There are older airweights, but like I have a Model 37, but it's still got a blued cylinder. And I was getting rust on the cylinder when I was carrying my pocket when I was sweating. And I didn't like that, so I bought this. So I do own a modern gun. I did remove the lock. That's another thing. They come with a little key lock. And that key lock, in a self-defense situation, the key lock can actually lock. It's happened before to people. The chances they happen to you is slim, but why even go there? You know, why even get involved? But the thing is, when you take these guns apart, the parts inside, they're all cast, MIM parts. I don't even know, but they got those little molding lines in them. Like, you know, like a Fisher-Price toy from Toys R Us. They have molding lines in the parts. Like if, you know, on the hammer here, you could see there's a line. The trigger, you know, same, it's just hollowed out. It's a molded part. I don't know if you can see that. See that? But like I said, I do own one. This is the only one that I own. But you know, even buying this, I could have bought a solid stainless steel older gun, older Smith & Wesson without the lock. I just bought this. I felt like buying a new gun, but for the money, and like I said, it is super lightweight, and it's like my summer gun. So there is some advantages to buying them. So like if you could only own one gun, this wouldn't be a terrible choice. But anything Smith & Wesson is fine. But I do recommend buying an older one. They're just what you're getting for your money. It's just a much better gun. I mean, it really is. And as far as compared to buying like an old semi-auto pistol and buying an old revolver, I think a lot of guns get messed up, like semi-autos, when people are taking them apart. Because people that own these guns in the past, they don't know what they're doing. You don't know what kind of idiot has owned a gun. I mean, there's Glocks that have been taken apart and, you know, put back together. And someone puts a slide on the gun without the barrel on the gun, and they're just mangling parts, trying to figure out how to get the slide back off. Or they'll put the slide on a Glock, they'll miss one of the front tabs and put it on the back tab. There's a lot of things I think that go wrong when people are disassembling guns and putting them back together. There's just some really stupid people out there. Whereas like an old revolver, most people will buy these guns and they've never been taken apart. They've shot them and that's it. And they sit in maybe a drawer somewhere. And I don't know if people were a little smarter years ago, but like people didn't dry fire guns back in the day. It was something that, you know, it was really frowned upon. It was considered bad for a gun, and it is bad for a lot of older guns to dry fire them. But a lot of modern guns can be dry fired, but maybe they shouldn't be. So in other words, what I'm saying is, regardless of whether it's good for a firing pin or not, a gun that's been dry fired a lot, it puts a lot of wear on parts. I mean, if you sat and dry fired this 10,000 times, I mean, the action would probably be pretty nice. But I don't know about you, I'd rather have one that hasn't been dry fired 10,000 times. So you never know what you're getting with certain guns. Whereas with an older gun, it's less likely that's happened. I mean, that train of thought, an old gun, people aren't going to sit there and do something like that to it. Hopefully. And as far as what to look for, older Smiths don't have the key lock, the little lock right there. When you go through, look through the gun, make sure there's no rust anywhere, and get a light, get a flashlight, and shine it and look down the barrel. Do it with the cylinder open, shine a flashlight and look down the barrel. It should be nice and clean, and you know, no rust. It should be real shiny and really nice looking. It should look really neat, really nice, really cool. When you cock the hammer back, feel the cylinder. It should not move a lot forward and backwards. There'll be, like, if you turn it, it'll be some, but front and backwards, back, front, there should be very little movement. Old ones have floating firing pins on the hammer. Another thing you can do is push on the hammer when the gun is cocked to see if it'll fall, to make sure it won't. And it obviously should not. You know, work the action, I guess. But another thing is, find a gun store too. The gun store where I buy like used guns at, they offer, just on all used guns, is a 30-day warranty. You know, so regardless, if something were wrong with the used gun, it gets a 30-day warranty. So make sure you get out and shoot it, and you know, right after you buy it, which most people do anyway. And a lot of gun shops, you can even buy lifetime warranties for, I don't know about a lot, but some. You could buy a lifetime warranty on a used gun that you buy for, like, you know, whatever they charge. It's not real expensive, you know, usually 40, 50 bucks. A lifetime warranty, which means if something breaks in the gun, you take it back to the shop, unless the shop goes out of business or something. But anyway, that's what I recommend just for starters. These happen to be snub noses. 4-inch guns, 4-inch barrel guns are great too. There's a lot of these out there. This happens to be a Colt, and it's loaded because it's in a holster. It's loaded because it's a self-defense gun for my house. We're using it for self-defense right now, in case someone busts in and tries to steal my phone or my guns. We got this guy loaded. Oh, another thing, buying a new gun, a new revolver, get a holster. I recommend getting one with a thumb brake, and keep the gun in a holster. When it's loaded, keep it in a holster. That's how you know it's loaded. Why is it loaded? Because it's in a holster. You know, treat your guns as if they're loaded. Keep them loaded, because you never know when you're going to need one. But yeah, stay away from junk guns. Buy either Smith & Wesson. Old Colts are really good. They're kind of expensive, and but not always. I'm trying to think if there's any other brands really. I mean, there's a lot of mismatched brands, H&R, different brands that made okay revolvers back in the day. But really, I recommend, if you're going to buy one gun, or you know, if you're just going to buy one revolver, to own one because you own all semi-autos, get an older Smith & Wesson without the key lock, and that's what I recommend over buying a new one, for sure. Alright guys, I'm running out of time.